Hey guys, my name is Beata, and I had the privilege of choosing between Yale, Harvard, Brown, and Princeton when I was in the application process. Ultimately, I chose Princeton, but I've gotten a bunch of questions about how I made that decision, and I want to talk a little bit about that today. Now, the biggest thing that I had to benefit me in this decision-making process was the fact that I got to visit all of these campuses and speak with students because I was going during the school year, and also just see what student life felt like and try and make my decision based off of imagining what I would be doing there. Now, there were two main factors when I made this decision, putting aside my major of interest, which at the time was psychology, and I knew all of these schools in different ways would support my interests quite well. Now, I was really interested in looking at the people, what kind of students were there, and what my social circles, my friends, and also my intellectual collaborations would look like. And then I was also really interested in the environment. So you're going to be there for 4 years thinking about, is this a place that I actually want to live? Is this a place where I could do really good work and excel academically, but also in the other aspects of my development? Now, I crossed Brown off the list because it was pretty cold there. Boston for Harvard, also fairly cold. And actually, I had thought that Brown would be my biggest interest, align most, because I'm quite interested in outdoorsy stuff, fairly politically active on the liberal side of things. And so, because those are some stereotypes about Brown, I thought that I would really find my people there and also, be able to engage with some of that side of my identity in the classroom. Woo! However, when I got there, I realized that in my perspective, there was a bit of a false sense of being alternative, where to fit in, everyone was doing kind of the same thing. So for example, I got to campus and I looked around and I saw some girls with a shaved side of their head, and I was like, wow, that's so cool that they feel confident to do that. They look really awesome. Saw a lot of people wearing outdoorsy gear, and I said, oh wow, this will be a great place for me. But then I kept looking around because I was there for the weekend and realized that everyone had that same haircut. Everyone was wearing those same clothes. And so in a way, instead of being individual expression, it was kind of this kind of group trend. And that's okay, that's totally fine, but what I was looking for was a place where I could express myself in unique ways, and I was surrounded by people who were different from me, who might be expressing themselves in unique ways. We would have overlap, and then we could get along. So that was something I found. I also found the academic side of Brown a little too flexible for me. It's known for having tons of options, and it's a lot less grades focused. And while that can be really beneficial depending on what you want to study, I felt that I wanted a little bit more structure in my learning. Now, let's go to Harvard and Yale. I felt that they were quite similar. I knew I was going to be rowing, and so this was also a little bit of a factor there. At Yale, you had to drive really far to get to the boathouse to row, and since I would be doing that every day, I knew that would impact a significant part of my week. And just generally, I thought the people were nice, both at Yale and at Harvard, but it was a really intense place. It seemed really cold and dark for most of the winter. I don't know exactly. There were times where I was looking at the population and saying, this would be great, I think I could see myself here, but it's not exactly what I want. Of course, at the time, part of that is relative, so comparing. So then I was lucky enough to go visit Princeton, and I found that there were some really, really cool girls especially, but just generally students who I met, and they were doing things that I had never considered in terms of majors, in terms of internships. At the time, I actually didn't even know to be looking into things like academic or extracurricular support or funding for research or opportunities for study abroad or internships in more of a concrete way. So one thing that Princeton has that a place like Brown doesn't have as much is just a really significant breadth of summer opportunities that are funded. So you can get paid to do all sorts of things. Now, of course, I was looking a bit more broadly, and that's what I tell students a lot now is think about exactly what you want to do, and then I have these other recommendations for what to look into, what's going to be most important that you might have not even considered during your time at university. Now, the biggest thing that drew me to Princeton really was the people. Some people who were, male ballet dancers, or girls who were doing a cappella, guys who were physics majors and had been working on internships at NASA. People were just doing a whole spectrum of different things, and I could see that they were really celebrated by their peers for leaning into those unique interests and just being really good at them and excelling. And I thought that that was so exciting, and I could see myself being there. Now, of course, the decision-making process is different for everyone. Everyone's needs are different, but also their opportunities to actually gain information about each school and make those decisions tend to be different. My biggest advice for you is to think beyond just academics and also think about what it would feel like to live there, who you're going to be around, because many of these schools actually really emphasize being in this kind of liberal arts environment where you're getting these lifelong friends who are a network that are going to carry you both socially but also in your career to places that you might not have imagined. But also thinking about the well-being side of things. Is this a place you could live? Are you okay with having really long winters? Or do you want hot weather? What does the social environment look like? Is everyone in a sorority or fraternity, and is that the only way to have fun? Or can you go outside and ski in the winter? Or is there hiking around? What do people do on the weekends? There are so many different factors to think about, and for each person, the priorities are going to be different. But again, make sure that you're really thinking and doing your best to gain all the information you can. If you'd like to talk to recent alums or current students, you can always use someone like me who has a network into a lot of these schools, or you can do your best if you have the means and the ability to visit these schools and imagine yourself as a student there and try and talk to current students when you get to campus just to get a sense of what it would be like to go there. I hope that's helpful. Let me know if you want to chat or if you have any questions. And if you still need help preparing your applications, I'm always here. I'm still taking on some more students for this current round of applications, and best of luck to you. Bye.